Hi souls, welcome back to another Stitches and Stories. It is a rainy afternoon. My hair is a mess, and you get what you get and you don't throw a fit because there's rain and my hair not mixing, and I'm out of curl cream, so what's a girl to do? Carol, please don't knock the flowers on my head. It's so pretty. We are going to review a book that I am super excited to talk about today, and we are going to update my scrap ball while we do it. A scrap ball is a ball of scrap yarn. I use these for practice projects, like new patterns. I also use them for blankets. Scrap blankets are amazing. You can use them for pet blankets, full-size blankets, whatever you want. And I don't use the invisible knot on these. I just use a very simple knot. Some people do this special knot where you can't really tell that the seam is there, and then you you cut the ends and you can't tell. It almost looks like the yarn is connected, but we're not using that one. We are using a different knot. We are just using a basic knot. Tara, your coat is beautiful, but can you move? Mm-hmm. Big for you. You need mama cuddles? You need mama cuddles. You got up here. Look at them. You got up here, so now you have to be in the video. No? Okay. I didn't think so. Goodbye, love. You scared your brother for no reason. We are talking about the book, The Seer, today. Forgive my voice. It is real sketchy because of the weather. It's kind of cracky, but I will do the best I possibly can. All right, guys? So this book, The Seer by Liliana Chatelain. Liliana, I am so excited for you. So Liliana has been part of my author community. Ooh. Ha! I hit it by accident, but we're going to leave it on. Has been part of my author community for quite a while. We met at a online author event hosted by a mutual friend that was Angelina Kerner. She used to do a lot of book events. She doesn't do as much anymore, but she's gone back to school, and that's why. But we met at a mutual event hosted by her, and we just became good friends and kept chatting. She has read a lot of my books, and I am super excited to have gotten to finally read one of hers. She has been working on becoming an author for a very long time, and when I got word that this book was hitting shelves and I was so excited, I had to pick it up. So I immediately pre-ordered, and it's on my Kindle, and then I read it like ASAP, and it's been sitting in our review journal for the longest time because I read it ASAP. And it is only 110 pages, guys. It's a pretty short read, but there is a lot in it. And I was confused for part of it, not story-wise, but age-wise. I didn't know what age level to recommend this to, but one scene flipped it on the head for me, and this is 100% an 18-plus story. Okay, there is a scene that should not be read by anyone under 18 legally, like, I can't tell you can read it kind of thing, all right? It's an 18-plus scene. But this is a really unique story. It is a take on kind of a continuation of The Legend of Troy. If you've read or heard The Legend of Troy, you get all these different characters, right? Well, Cassandra is in there, and Cassandra is a seer, all right? And so in there, in the legend, she falls in love with someone, and they live happily ever after to the best of Greek life that they can in Greek mythology. But in this book, there is a man who becomes obsessed with Cassandra, and he's a wizard, and he basically sells his soul to another goddess because he wants to be the most powerful and he wants Cassandra to love him and he thinks power is the answer. But his obsession switches from not only Cassandra to power, and then he wants to possess her as a item and as a magical artifact instead of a human being. And he goes so far that he stalks her family line and eventually tricks a ancestor of her into becoming his bride. And they have twin daughters, and in order to save them, because this Cassandra, the one he marries, is very much aware that he just wants the power, and like, she loved him, she was infatuated with him, but then he turned into this evil monster. He started showing his true colors, and it became obvious that he was kind of grooming her. And so in order to protect her daughters, she sends them away, and this makes him really mad, right? Because now he doesn't have access to his children, and she sends them away into the real world, and then they continue to live on, and they create their own family line. Every firstborn daughter inherits the Seer gift in here, okay? And every firstborn daughter is named Cassandra. So there are a lot of Cassandras in this book. I'm going to tell you that ahead of time. It did get a little confusing for me at a couple parts because there were the same character names, but overall it's pretty easy to follow, okay? This story starts, as I said, with the Cassandra of Troy, but then the actual legit plot starts on a family trip. Our modern day Cassandra goes on a family trip with her best friend and her family, and they get there and they get told this story about this veil in this part of the forest that protects the world where the other Cassandra and the wizard lived and then sent the babies through, right? And so at first they all think, oh, this is just an old wives' tale, it's fake. Cassandra's mom does not believe in the Seer gift, does not believe in the Cassandra story, but she named her daughter Cassandra out of tradition, all right? Because her mom is not a seer, but her grandmother is. And so she bonds really closely with her grandmother, and because her grandmother and her both have the family gift. But then as the story is being told to them, they decide to go explore this area. They want to go, Cassandra and her friend and her siblings decide to go explore this area, her brothers. And so they show up there and they're exploring and they find the portal and they go through the portal and they meet the wizard, and then chaos takes over. So there is abuse and torture in here committed by the wizard. There are family secrets. There are multiple women named Cassandra. It's a family name, as we talked about. It is like science fiction over fantasy because it has realm travel. However, I wouldn't even really call this fantasy. I mean, it has a dragon, it has goddesses, it has magic, but I really think this falls more under the realm of mythology and continued mythology than actual fantasy. Technically, all mythology can be marked as fantasy, okay? All mythology does fall in the genre of fantasy, but mythology is slightly different. When we call something mythology, it's because it's built in stories that we in real life have passed down from one another, like Greek mythology, Norse mythology, Egyptian mythology, Christian mythology, any kind of stories of religion and lore that we have passed down from one generation to the next. That is what mythology is, okay? It is religious based, basically, where fantasy itself does not have to be religious based. It is a work of fiction that is meant to explore modern issues and the world through fantastical means, all right? But mythology, the thing about mythology is it's very close to the genre of folklore and legends, and folklore is honestly probably one of my favorite genres. I don't read it much because the best folklore is orally told. Okay, guys? I'm going to be honest. That's my opinion. The best folklore is orally told. It is meant to be orally told. That's where the whole genre developed, was stories passed down orally about our life. The thing about folklore, and the reason it's connected to mythology, is every story is rooted in something from history, okay? We can't really separate fact from fiction in them. Like, some people still believe in the Greek gods. Some people believe in the Egyptian gods. Some people believe in the Norse gods. I believe in the Christian God Yahweh. It's very much, it's so set in belief in spirituality that you can't actually call it fiction. You know what I mean? Because it's all about faith. It's all about what you believe to be true, and all these awesome stories that come out of it. We enjoy other religions' mythology. I love Greek mythology, okay? I love Greek mythology. I love Norse mythology. Not as much as I love Greek, but I love Greek. I don't care much for Roman. It just is a rip-off of Greeks. Sorry, Romans, but you know what you did. I love Christian mythology. I get very, very confused with Egyptian mythology. I have tried, guys. I have a book that I was writing. It's sitting on my computer, half finished, that is based in Egyptian mythology. It's about a mummy that comes back to life and falls in love with a museum curator. But we all, regardless of what mythology you claim as your belief system, you can enjoy the stories of others, and they all teach you something. Like this, ouch. He has no remorse, Caesar. They all teach you something, okay? So they technically can be marked as fantasy, but most people don't mark them as fantasy because of the religious setting and the belief system. So this book isn't really fantasy. I wrote down for the genre that it was fantasy mythology, but it's got elements of sci-fi, and it's more of a continuation of mythology because it's a continuation of the story of Cassandra, okay? So go into that expecting some historical details and spiritual details in this, okay? There's a magic mirror in here. The mirror has a lady in it. Is the lady Cassandra, the late Cassandra, like the girl's great-great-great-grandmother or whatever many Cassandras she is ago, the one that was married to the wizard? Is she a goddess? Is she a ghost, a completely different ghost? I believe she's the Cassandra that saved her children. It never is really outright told to you who this woman is, but it's said that the wizard gets really mad at her, and because of his obsession with Cassandra, I can't see him killing her, but I could see him trapping her in a mirror. So, it has whimsical vibes, very whimsical fairy tale vibes with adult content. It's very nice. There is essay involved in here, and there is a scene where our poor little Cassandra ends up in a very unfortunate SA situation. You could argue in this scene that both the wizard and the goddess are villains because they coerce her into this situation. The goddess coerced her into this situation knowing that the sight of this situation would be what triggered her friend to ultimately kill the wizard and save them. So it blurs the line. The goddess is more of an anti-hero, I'm gonna be honest. And most goddesses and gods in mythology are. They're both good and bad. They walk the line there. Like, they don't play by the same rules that mortals do, right? The wizard is pure evil, and he is the pure villain. I will tell you that straight up. I hate him with a passion. I highly, highly recommend reading this and not going to the audio version. I started audio. Okay, I had my Kindle reading it to me on accessibility, but then I switched to reading it because the format in this book matters. alright? There are italicized items and stuff that tell you where you are in the past and stuff that you don't catch on to if you listen to it. So I do highly actually recommend physically reading this book, alright? There's a non-binary character in here, references to Macbeth, Greek gods and goddesses, 18 plus content, as I said. The Macbeth thing I was talking about, the non-binary character, it cracked me up because basically, our Cassandra can't be saved by a man or a woman, is what the curse says. They can't be saved by a man or a woman. If you've read Macbeth, and I'm assuming, judging by this theme that our author has. Tara, no one wants to see your glorious butt. Come here. There is a scene where, in Macbeth, they talk about how Macbeth cannot be killed by any man born of woman. Alright? That's what they say. And they get around it because the guy who kills him, who ultimately takes down Macbeth, was a C-section baby. And so he wasn't born in the sense of the traditional word. And back then in Shakespeare, there was a debate whether C-section was considered a birth or not. I mean, the kids are obviously there, they're taken out of their mom, but it's not the full birthing process. It was a whole thing back in, early medical stuff and everything. So I thought that the play on words in here was great, and might have been a reference to that because they say that no one that's man or woman can save her, and her best friend identifies as non-binary, meaning that they identify as neither, meaning they had all the keys in the world to save her. And I thought that was just amazing, honestly. Is there a relationship between her and her friend? Like, romantic? I don't know. I really think it's kind of platonic. I think they're just friends, but this is the first book in a series, so we're going to see if something develops there. But I think they're just friends. And on the topic of them, they were born a male, if I remember correctly, and they are kind of disowned by their family, not entirely. Their family does not respect their pronouns or anything, and so they prefer hanging out at Cassandra's family's house because her family respects them and loves them for who they are. And so there are those themes in here as well. So when I had to answer our essay questions, we already talked about the genre and the fact that this is fiction because it's a continuation on the mythology and it takes place in modern times. So it's not actually happening right here, right now in our world. So we have to classify it as fiction, right? We know that this is not a real story despite the fact of it having mythological elements. Themes are breaking generational curses. Literally, there are literal generational curses in here. Family, forgotten history, and mythology. What did you think of the book? What will you take away from it? This was a fun continuation of an old tale. What if Cassandra had been courted by a jealous and greedy wizard? What lengths would the wizard go to keep her in his power? What would happen to her descendants? What was the aim of the book and how well did the author fulfill it? Well, I think the aim was to show the strength of love and loyalty and the importance of family, both found and born, okay? Because her born family is really supportive of her, where their born family is not. And, but who am I talking about? Their born family is not. Her best friend's born family does not support them. But her family supports them, okay? So that's found family. But her born family supports her, which is the support of a born family. Get it? So there's both sides to the coin. Wow! Coin here. Both sides of the coin. How much more? What in the Nebraskan redneck thing is that? I am Nebraskan. I can say that. Y'all, okay? It's a weird symbolism. I'm going to say that in public and see what someone says. What side of corn is that? You know what? I bet people would know what I meant. Just so you know. Would you recommend this book to others? Who's the target audience? Yes, I would. I have to say 18 plus due to the one single scene in this book. Yeah, some of the themes are very mature, but you have to learn these themes, okay? Like, teenagers need these themes as much as adults do, because teenagers are as much as at risk for SAing and abuse and torture and disownment as everyone else. And sadly, even middle schoolers and elementary kids are. But the themes have to be handled a certain way for every age level because of brain development, okay? Human brain development and how our brain grows and what we can understand at certain ages. These themes have to be talked on in certain ways, right? My sister is also an author, and she deals with a lot of themes like abuse, okay? And she writes about that. And she calls me all the time, and she's like, hey, do you think that this theme and this topic is appropriate for this age level? How would I address this without, pissing off a bunch of parents? And the thing is, you're always going to piss off someone when you talk about these themes, all right? They're dark. They're twisted, they're not fun to think about, but unfortunately they are part of life. And unfortunately, we do live in a world where even our children need to know about these topics because even they are being victims, all right? And so I think they were handled well in here, and if it wasn't for that one 18 plus scene, I would say even high schoolers, I would say that this book is actually a YA book, and I don't think that this is an adult book. I think it's new adult, okay? New adult is like high school, college age, where it does explore more adult content, but it's not fully graphic, all right? So this scene is gut-wrenching, I will tell you that. It is not a scene that you ever want to see your best friend put into. But it's also not the worst scene ever told, alright? It's not as graphic as it could have been. Shadowland definitely watched what she was saying and definitely took into account that her readers were probably going to be YA college students. Okay? She handled it very well, is what I'm going to say. And I think that this was a great debut novel for her. Not really a novel. It's 110 pages, and novels are usually super long. But it's a great debut book for her, and I can't wait to read the rest of the series. I of course will be reading the rest of the series because A, she's my friend and I'm going to read her books, and she writes the same genre as me, so why wouldn't I? And B, she's a great writer, guys. On our little wheel of fortune here, our rating wheel, when we broke this down, I put plot 5, characters 5, writing 5, enjoyment 5, setting 5, readability 4. And you're like, wait, what? The readability is because I did tell you that you need to read it and not use audio, okay? The formatting is important in this book, and you need to read it. You need to physically read it so you can understand. No. Don't fall out, don't fall out, don't fall out. Stay on my stick. Okay. See, we're good, we're good. We're good. We're good. I could have just lost an entire scarf. Readability, right. The formatting choice was made for a reason, and it goes with the story on purpose. It can tell it was done for a reason, but you can't read it in all formats. So if you do have dyslexia or something and you rely on your accessibility feature, I would take that into account, and that's why I dropped the readability to 4, okay? So when I added all our stars up and I divided it by 6, we got 4.8, and as our rule, anything above a 0.5 or is a 0.5 gets rounded up. So we are sitting at a solid 5-star rating for Liliana Shadowland's first book. Congratulations, Lily. I'm super excited. I'm so proud of you. I've been waiting years to read one of your books, and I'm I'm just stoked. You gotta let me know when the second one's coming out, because the way this ended, I'm assuming that you are currently working on it, because it seems like you got plans. So let me know, because I need it. I need it, girl. I need to know what's going on here. So anyway, that is The Seer by Liliana Chatelain. I will link it down below. And the next book that we will review next time that we meet up will be A Service Berry, which is a great book to talk about in fall and during harvest time. So bye, souls. Love you all. Let me know below what your take is on mythology, if it is fantasy-based or religion-based, and if you think it should be classified as fantasy or not. Bye, guys.